And in the college ranks, Georgia wide receiver Colby Young has been arrested early Tuesday morning on misdemeanor charges of battery and assault on an unborn child.
It's time.
You know what time it is?
The game for Tuscaloosa's longest running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. And now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
And a big good afternoon to you. Welcome into the game. T-Town Tide at 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Remember to download the Tide 100.9 app. It is a free download, Android, iPhone, Google Play. Listen to all of our shows. Mornings with 6 a.m. with Martin Houston, Wimp, and Barry. Inside the locker room, 7 until 9. Gary Harris, WVUA Sports Director, and our very own here at Tide 100.9 from 9 until 11. T-Town Sports Daily with Wyatt Fulton, our digital editor, program director from 11 until noon. And then the Miller's Edge with Christian and Corey Miller. Then we pick it up every day starting at 2 o'clock. We're going to do our Southern Ale House score prediction day, and we will begin to really start to focus on South Carolina. Even though I think there's still some things out there that we're going to discuss around this Alabama-Vanderbilt game and the loss and where does Alabama go, more about the correction. And today we've got two guests that are going to help us. Mike Detillier is going to join us coming up in just a couple of minutes. Mike Detillier, WWL, the big 870. Mike's one of our favorite, just to hear his analysis. And then today we're going to feature somebody that I've never been able to talk to. I've never talked to, but I saw some of his work earlier today. It is the film guy. And I've got a friend of mine that absolutely worships a lot of the stuff that he does, right? He tells me all the time. A couple of weeks ago, it was Georgia week here in Tuscaloosa. He was trying to get on the field, or he was on the field, and he got a photo. And that's all he wanted to tell me about. Hey, I got a photo with the film guy. The film guy, director of recruiting on the SI network as well. He's a lead guy that covers the Bulldogs. Brooks Austin's going to be with us coming up. So we'll talk to Brooks Austin, which had some great things to say. I say not great, but he had some solid things to say about Alabama's defensive side of the football. And we're going to talk about this, and we're going to tie it to the world of college football that we have come to understand. Even though we don't have a sample size, first year, what will college football look like? I went on this morning with Jackson, Mississippi, and they started wanting to post. You get these interviews this time of the year. Okay, you're always talking about the upcoming game. But I must tell you, they are enjoying Alabama regressing to the mean, right? Coming back down to ground earth. Now, if you're an Ole Miss fan, you're happy because of the world of college football because now you can have a role. You did not have a role for many, many years, and now Alabama's coming down, and these other teams are coming up. So if you're one of the inferior teams out there, you're excited, right? You now get a chance to be a part of the conversation. So, and then I countered and said, didn't Kentucky beat you guys? But you always do these interviews because they want to take a victory lap. They want to stomp on your grave. And I hope these players, we did let a naysayer know. We let a naysayer know that he was correct, right? I mean, that Lank stuff that we thought we're going to throw out the window, now it's back because there's a lot of naysayers out there. Alabama's bleeding. The Sharks are circling the water. And, man, they're enjoying. I mean, they are living. I mean, you got fans that have 2 wins. Auburn, we're looking at you. You guys have 2 wins, okay? And you're taking a victory lap on a Vanderbilt. You guys will get yours. You'll come to Tuscaloosa and, at that point, I don't know, maybe you'll have 3 wins. I mean, we know La Monroe, but you may not beat Vanderbilt. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, Vanderbilt may take that same message. I believe that game is in Auburn. I believe it is. I'm pretty sure it is. So
same kid who beat them last year before the Iron Bowl, Diego Pavia.
Yeah, Pavia may have a little something to say. Hey, ×2, this wasn't a fluke. This was not a fluke, and he is a tough guy. I also went back, and I had lunch today with a former – I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it, but it's a friend of mine. It's a guy that played baseball at the University of Alabama, and we were talking about a lot of different things. He played in Major League Baseball as well, so we were talking about a lot of different things, but we were talking about this is the new college football. But I also think because of the new college football, and this is one of the things that we'll get into Brooks Austin, go back to 2011, okay? I want to go back just for a minute, and I want to read 2011, okay? Let's go back just for a couple of seconds, okay? This was Alabama's defense. Ready? Stop me when you hear a bad player or just an average player. Mark Barrett. My. Robert Lester. Dante Hightower. How many rings did he win in the National Football League? A bunch. C.J. Mosley, an absolute stud here and also in the next level. 2011, Courtney Upshaw. Courtney played a lot of years didn't play a lot, but he played a ton. Nico Johnson, still in the coaching business. Nico was a solid player at the University of Alabama. Dre Kirkpatrick. I mean, his son's now here. Dre Kirkpatrick played a long time in the NFL. Daquan Minzy. Daquan is a state trooper, I believe, over in the state of Mississippi. He may have transferred down to Jackson. Maybe he's part of the Capitol Police, but I know he went to, a solid player, right? D. Milliner played in the National Football League. Josh Chapman, who's a strength conditioning coach at Alabama. We should get him over here to talk about this. That was that 2011 Alabama defense. May I remind you? Now, I'm not making excuses. Yeah, I guess I am. That's okay. You can throw them at me. I've had stones. I was blamed for missing some of those tackles on Saturday. We did most of that. But you look back at that schedule. And you think about Georgia Southern, right? And you think about that defense. Oh, you want to talk about other players? I mean, go and look at that roster. And then you also have to understand that you have to simplify it because you have to play players that are quicker. But 2011, that option's not hard. It's hard to defend, right? If you don't see it every week. And hey, it was one of those that Alabama got taken to school. I want to start here real quick, and I want to give credit to Nick Kelly. Nick's one of the beat reporters covering the University of Alabama. Malachi Moore spoke. And I know it's been a topic of conversation. Malachi said something that I think that we all should go back and hear, okay? You guys have thrown stones at him. Not you guys, but some of you. And that's okay. That's okay. That's what makes the world go around, that we can have two different opinions. I asked yesterday if you guys wanted to take him to the quad and throw beanbags at him or, make him dress in honey and feathers and walk. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are looking for. But some of y'all would love to, I don't know, throw him as a punching bag or something. But Malachi Moore was asked to explain his side of the thing, and he took full accountability. This is Malachi Moore just a couple of hours ago inside the football complex. I'll give the audio credit to Nick Kelly. Nick Kelly, one of the beat reporters covering the University of Alabama, AL.com. This is Nick Kelly with Malachi Moore. It's just a media availability. It's not him doing a one-on-one interview, but it's him as far as a media availability, his citation here. So here it is, Malachi Moore talking about the mistake that he made.
I just want to apologize again to my family and my teammates. The way I acted, out of frustration, we put in so much work throughout the summertime, and I look at my teammates, man, I see D-Law, and I'm just thinking about all the time we've been outside running gashes. I look at Q Robinson, Zebo, Tim Smith, guys that have been here 5 years and put in all that work. And for us to go out there and not play up to our standard, it definitely was frustrating to me, but I take full accountability for that. Let my actions get the best of me, and it won't happen again.
What were the conversations like with Coach DeBoer and Coach Womack following that game? Yeah,
they were just telling me that they understood my frustration, but again, we can't act like that on the field. And but they definitely had my back and definitely been apologized to them and did the consequences that they've given me. And yeah.
Have you had any conversation with Diego at all in terms of grabbing his face mask?
Yeah, I hit him up on Instagram the other day. Just let him know, my bad. I didn't mean to forward in no malicious way. Just let the game got away from me, and he hit me back, so we cool.
Tyler Booker said that you spoke to the team. What was your message there?
Kind of the same message I'm giving y'all. I would just, I let them down as a leader in that moment. In a moment where your captain and your leader is supposed to be strong in that moment, I let my emotions get the best of me and kind of just acted out of character. So I apologized to them for that and told them that's not the way we do stuff here and that it won't happen again.
Is there anything you feel like you've learned from this experience so far?
Yeah, definitely just controlling my emotions, knowing where I'm at, and just doing the best to be a role model and lead.
So there it is, Malachi Moore. All right, so he's apologized in the locker room after Vanderbilt, right? He apologized on Sunday night during a team meeting. He's had multiple meetings with Kalen DeBoer, okay, and his defensive coordinator, Kane Womack. You've heard him publicly apologize verbally. He's also issued a statement. What else do you want? Now, I'm telling you. Now, listen, I must tell you guys, Wyatt, these same folks that are raising these kids that are hellions out here, that are throwing all kind of fits out here, I'm excited about what the world's going to become. Because we have a lot of holier than thou folks out here, man. Like I said, I'm disappointed. I'm not forgiving it, but I'm just saying, man, I'm excited to see this young group of people that these folks are developing. Because, I mean, listen, the world's going to be a better place when their kids become adults, man. It's going to be awesome, man. I love it. I love it. I mean, it's going to be so great. I mean, they're going to be so polite, and we're going to have yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, sir. I mean, it's going to be awesome to be able to see this, because I know you guys are holding the same standard to your kids as you do other people's kids, right? I mean,
they gotta be. They gotta be. So the world is going to be such an amazing place.
Be awesome.
Maybe I'm the problem here, because I'm going to raise my kids the way my dad raised me. You're going to behave, and if you don't, we gonna make you behave, and so we gonna make sure. So maybe I'm planning to raise my kids the wrong way, because it sounds like they're doing a great job.
They are. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you. Watch them now. Watch them. These kids, man, they're going to be awesome, man. They're never going to misbehave.
Never going to lose their cool in a moment of frustration.
Never going to pitch a fit. I'm telling you, man, I'm excited about it. I'm excited. I can't wait to see the world change right here in front of our eyes. I mean, you guys flipped the script, so I'm seeing it out there. I'm seeing it. Like I said, listen, I'm always going to stand with the student athlete, okay? Rarely do I take that side unless you're a Georgia Bulldog or an Auburn Tiger, that I'm gonna take, because I understand that they're held to different standards, as they should be. You're wearing a crimson jersey. I get all that. All right, let's go to Mike Detillier. Maybe he's got some thoughts.
Speaking of those Georgia Bulldogs, another one got in trouble.
No. And I'm going to tie this back into the Alabama conversation coming up in about 30 minutes.
7 this year for Georgia.
I still think it's the new college football. I don't know if you can afford, if you're Kirby Smart. I mean, he was talking 2 weeks ago about depth issues. All right, let's go to Mike Detillier coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll tie it back. We'll do our score prediction day presented by Southern Ale House. We're always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. TuscaloosaToyota.com. 3325 Scott. It's been a bad week when you open up your email and it's Fox Sports National saying, can we get some audio from Tuscaloosa? Can we get some audio from Tuscaloosa? If any of you guys would like to have a segment on, Big Noon Kickoff on Fox. If you have a meltdown today, we're going to send that audio over. So if anybody wants to be on Fox on the big national show, all you have to do, call today and have a complete meltdown, okay? If you have a meltdown, I'm going to send your audio out to Fox, which we're affiliated with. I mean, they reached out to us and asked us for some audio, and we have a few that qualified yesterday. But I still think, man, some folks you got it in you, okay? Bama Nick, we're probably looking at you. Okay, I don't know if Paul and Lincoln could. Pat and Tuscaloosa, maybe. We'll get the phone calls coming up in a couple of minutes, but it's always a busy week when they reach out to you and say, hey, can you guys send us some audio of some of the meltdowns in Tuscaloosa? Okay, all right, I got it. Take your victory lap, Mike Detillier. You're in the game. I hope all is well, my friend.
Doing well, Ryan. It's been a long 2 days, but Monday night coverage, and then, do what we got to do.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You and I are in Sports Talk Radio. We have to ride the emotions of the fan base, but I'm curious, when you look at this Vanderbilt game.
Yeah.
And Mike, it's like, okay, people hear that we hear it for 3 or 4 hours. No, it doesn't stop, man. It's like 24 hours. I mean, and as long as we do radio, the one that I always get is these former players that will call you up. What the blank is going on down there? And I'm like, hey, man, you guys have got better access than I do. Call over there and ask them. I don't know. I mean, we lost. We lost to Vanderbilt. But what'd you think, Mike?
The first thing that popped into my mind, and I know I've shared this with you and your audience, and it was a comment that was made in July at our Louisiana line camp. And Pete Jenkins and I are sitting down, we talking, and they got a number of other people chiming in. And Pete made the comment to me that he said, hey, look, there's only one Nick Saban, and that's only going to be one of them. He said, I know in my lifetime, and he said, probably your lifetime, that's only going to be one. He said, I think Kalen DeBoer is a really good coach in college football, really good. He said, I'm aware of him from different people, and I know, we've had some connections in, coaching-wise. He said, but the biggest hurdle for him will be something Nick did better than anybody. And he said Coach Saban won more games in the fourth quarter than any other coach I can think of in the past 10 years, college football. You had teams that were close. Like I said, we had close games against LSU, close games against Ole Miss, close games against Auburn, close games against other teams in the SEC. But Nick won the vast majority of those games. He said, how will the Alabama fan base take those first couple losses in the fourth quarter in a close game with the board? He said, Mike, I'm telling you, you can say today, I tune it out. I don't listen to the outside world. And he said, you know that they lying. Every coach hears it back. And he said, you've got now very prominent donors that give to your program. And yes, they have access. You're not giving those millions to Alabama without at least having some access. You're hearing it from them. How that affects a coach? I'm just telling you, people can say what they want about, I live in the phone booth. Like you said, which don't happen anymore. They ain't got no phone booths anymore. But he said it's really going to be telling of how Coach DeBoer handles losing a game that you expected to win, and you lose it in the fourth quarter. Because, like you said, Nick's been in those situations against teams that you should have blown out, but he figured out a way to win, and it's a W. And he used it as sort of a teaching tool to go back to his players and kind of motivate them. Said, Mike, it's a lot easier said than done. How you bounce back from that. And he said, the fan base, they're used to winning. Alumni, used to winning. It's going to be difficult. He said, there's some big moccasins Kalen DeBoer is putting his feet in. I thought about that immediately. That comment about what he said. This was early July at Louisiana Line Camp. It was fitting of how, you're going to hear it you're on Sports Talk, but that's Alabama people all over. We got it too yesterday on our show. People calling in about, how could Alabama lose to Vanderbilt? So, you look at it all across the board. You play this huge game against Georgia with a win, and then you lose to Vandy. It's the world of college sports that we're going to see more and more of. Teams that you didn't think had a shot end up upsetting a team that they're not as good as, but they play better. At that moment in time, they can play 10 more games. 11, or let's say 11 more games. Probably 11-1. But they'll remember that one loss. How Kalen DeBoer gets his team back on track now, mentally, after a loss like that to Vanderbilt. Because sometimes, what's the worst thing in sports or in life? I've been around it with people. How you handle success. It's not about how you handle losses. We're used to disappointments in life. Sometimes things don't work out in a lot of different ways. How you handle success. And it's not the same team as a year ago, because transfer portal, NIL, changed all that.
Well, Mike, I think this is the new college football. I mean, you covered the NFL. You and I have been talking about this for months, years. It's here. I mean, it's here. I don't know what the playoffs are going to look like, but I know this season's been chaotic. I mean, we have one undefeated team in the SEC.
And they're going to taste defeat, too.
They will. Oh, yeah. No question.
They're going to taste it. And I know I told you the story that we had the Manning camp, and everybody's kicking around, well, this team will be 11-1 and all this. Man, Archie Manning looked at me. He's like, Mike, they're going to have a bunch of 10-win teams, a bunch of them, with a couple of losses. Said, Mike, I guarantee you, all this talk about going undefeated or maybe losing one game, he said, you might have that happen, but everybody's going to get scuffed a couple times the way it is in college football today. He made me a comment that I've used on the show, and he's talked about it with me since. He said, I think there'll be a 9-3 SEC team that gets hot late. And because of their strength of schedule, man, the committee's got to look at that and say, do they deserve to get in? And he said, I think there might be a yes to that. He said, there's going to be a bunch of two-loss teams in the SEC, at least 2 losses, because they're going to beat up one another. But it don't get the ratings LSU football does. And LSU football don't get the ratings the Saints get.
Mike, where do you think Alabama goes from here? I know 40-35, you lose to Vanderbilt on the road. It's a team that, it stings, right? When you lose to a team that we're accustomed to seeing at the bottom of the SEC, but they're not the bottom this year. They're a pretty decent football team, but you still lose to Vanderbilt. Where does this team go from here, in your opinion?
Got to get better in the secondary. I think that was a concern going in. For me, it was a concern, I think, for most people. Because, you lose first-round pick corner or a second-round pick corner. You lose a top guy left, go to Ohio State. You had some question marks there. Their inability to get off the field, Ryan, is so troubling for Alabama. Very similar to LSU. Very similar in that manner. LSU can't get off the field either. They're better than a year ago, but when you're an F student, there's only one place to go, but it's up. If you're an LSU fan, that was only one place to go. Alabama's not that bad, certainly, on defense, but there's some mirror images of one another here. Struggling to get a consistent pass rush. Struggling to get off the field on third down. Okay, you scored 35 points, you figure you win in most games, right? Not today. Not in the new world of college football. You better put at least a 4 up on there. So I think Alabama's going to bounce back. They got the right quarterback. They certainly have firepower on offense. Ryan Williams is an unbelievable player. I've seen a lot of really good receivers as freshman guys, and I've covered them. And a lot of them at LSU. I ain't seen a cat like him. I mean, he's a cut and a cut and a half. Man, he is something special. So you have the elements there on offense to score, but you got to be able to get a better, consistent pass rush and play better in the secondary. Ryan, it's something I brought up to you before. The areas that I see you don't have as many, and I'm talking about this is in the 5 to 10 year frame for me. Defensive linemen, coverage people. Defensive linemen, a lot of those guys that would have been the edge guys, man, the hell with that. Put me at tight end. I won't catch the ball. Or they're a big receiver. Cornerbacks, okay, today, they come to our camps, they'll tell you, hey, I like playing corner, but I love playing receiver. New world. New world. And I see it every year. And, man, I look offensive line, especially in today's world. There's a lot of big guys, but can they play? Can they move? And that's troubling for the NFL today, more than anything. And the backdrop of that is college football. You got no depth along the offensive line today in the NFL. What's the feeder system to the NFL? College football. It used to be offensive linemen were the surest picks if you picked them in the first, second round. Not anymore. Not anymore. You got big busts across the board. So the trenches are radically changing before our very eyes because most of the young men, they get involved in football today. Doing what, Ryan? 7-on-7. 7-on-7. LSU's got a 6'6" and a half tight end and a 6'7" tight end. Ryan, those guys would have been playing defensive end or edge rushers 5 years ago. Neither one of them has played on defense from high school into the college ranks. Fredez Green, Kay Pittman, they were excellent prep basketball players, but they never played defense in high school. Played tight end, played receiver. We watching it. You can like it or dislike it. It ain't changing because you don't like it. It is the ever-changing sport. And again, it still matters of winning in the trenches, winning up front, offensive and defensive line. I think that, and you got to have a star quarterback. And not every once in a while. You got to be consistent with it. But, I see it in the camps, and the follow through with that is it goes to the colleges, and from the colleges it goes to the NFL. No depth along the offensive, defensive lines. Very few top flight cover people. And Ryan, the numbers are shrinking. We had less corners and safeties the last 2 years at our Pro Football Combine than we've ever had. I'm talking about like 30% less. Guess where we had the big uptake? We got 40% more receivers and 30% more tight ends. Okay, I didn't need to go to Harvard or Yale or Brown to figure that out. That's not a little trend. That's a big trend. Guys don't play it. So you're going to have less numbers, less quality people there.
Hey, Mike, I just want to go ahead and give you a fair warning because we're having another meltdown about Malachi Moore's behavior. I just want to tell you, man, the world's going to be better when these folks' kids and their grandkids are going to be able to take care of you. And when you and I are in the retirement village, I'm telling you, man, they're holding on to a different standard, man. Their kids have never pitched a little tantrum out there. I mean, it's pretty awesome, man. I'm telling you, when their kids get up here, man, we're not going to have to worry about, man. The United States is going to be beautiful. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And I get the competitive nature of things because, listen, I've been in that spot. And, man, sometimes your emotions can boil over. But you got to play with poise. You got to understand the moment. You don't want to hurt your football team. Don't want to ever do anything to hurt not only yourself, but also the image of your team. Because it's the ultimate team sport. Hey, listen, if you want to be a one-on-one person, then go play golf, go play tennis. Be a designated hitter in baseball. Football's the ultimate team sport. And sometimes you got to be reminded of that. Hey, keep your poise. Keep your poise here. Because you're not only hurting yourself, Malachi Moore can go on to have an unbelievable career. You know what people are going to remember him by? That moment. Fair or unfair, Ryan? You know that.
Sure. Oh, yeah. No. I mean, he is. And listen, Alabama football players should be held to a different standard. I get it. I mean, like I said, I mean, he's publicly apologized multiple times. He did a press conference today or a media availability where he talked about it. I mean, most of the time they hide those guys from the media, right? No, I mean, he walked out there and said, no, I want to do it. I want to do it. He did it. He's verbalized it. He's put it on Twitter. He's called Vanderbilt players, made sure that they understand it, that he apologized. He stood in front of his team on Sunday night, and we still got the pitchforks out over here, man. I mean, it is like I said. I mean, I'm just telling you, Mike. When we get retirement village, these kids that these other folks are going to be raising, they're going to be perfect, man. It's going to be awesome. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna sell that mountain front property behind my home. No, you know why? I see it in my grandkids. Okay, my kids were raised a certain way.
Sure.
And you know, I see my grandkids.
You're not being light on the grandkids, are you, Mike? Are you?
Am I? And I am. And I'll be the first one to admit it. But how I get their attention, I tell them, "Hey, you keep cutting up at Pop's house. Guess what? Your butt's going back to your house." You see the attitude change real fast. I don't want to go back home. I want to stay here with you. I was like, okay, I want to stay with you and Mimi. Okay, I get that. But if you don't listen, it don't take me long to get you in that truck or vehicle, and I'll bring you back home to your mom and your dad. And all of a sudden, all that kind of crazy talk and cutting up, it settles down real quick. It's like throwing down a trump card, so to speak. I got you. Because if you're going to do it, I'm going to be willing to do that. Now, let them get a certain amount. But, I mean, I was raised differently than how we, my wife and I raised our kids. It was a much tougher environment. My dad was 14 years in service and served in World War II in Korea. My dad wasn't the toughest individual in that house. We were scared of my mom. My brother and I, we were scared of her because, my dad, he only had to give you a look or a little squawk, and then you got it. My mom wasn't nothing for her because her weapon of choice was a wet rag. And if you ever got hit with a wet rag before, you understood exactly what I'm talking about. Coach O got a good story about that wet rag because he felt it one time too. So, again, it's the rag. Of having them understand a little bit more about what you're there for, okay? And because sometimes you can lose yourself in the moment, and that part's difficult today. Sometimes to get across to a 19, 20, 22-year-old, listen, I did stuff by that age I would cringe at today, but, I wouldn't go that overboard with certain things. So it's part of the things today that you deal with. I think we spoil our kids and our grandkids way too much. And it's a bit of an attitude.
Sure. Hey, Mike, I appreciate you, man. Have a great show. And, if you get a chance, pray for me. I got to deal with this all week, man. It's fun.
Brian, I feel for you. I've been in them. I've been in them moccasins before, so I understand exactly how it is. And when a guy that you grew up with is the head coach at LSU,
sure.
Amy Trask told me this, Mike. You're one of the few people in this world that can say somebody that you knew as a kid won a national championship, and you got to cover it. That's the good part. The bad part is when he starts losing. And she was absolutely 2,000% right. It was like I was coaching the team. I didn't have nothing to do with that. But, you go through it, so to speak. But it'll get better, Ryan. I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
It'll get better.
I'm still in this 7 stages of grief over here, so I don't know where we're at today. We'll find out. You're the first guy we've talked to. Hopefully we've moved. We'll see. We'll see where we're at. Mike, I appreciate you, man. Mike Detillier, WWL, the big 870. Mike, have an awesome show this afternoon, man. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Mike Detillier helping us out. Brooks Austin in about 1 hour. We'll talk with him. He's called the Film Guy. We'll break it down with him, and he'll share some thoughts. He's talking about Alabama's defensive scheme is a way too predictable. And they got hunted on Saturday. So he'll talk about that coming up at 3:30. That was his comments on a social network post. So we'll ask him to dive a little bit deeper right here on the game. We welcome you right back into the game. I must tell you that we're going to have to submit the score prediction contest from last week. We're going to have to submit it to our official accountant, Don Wallace, the CPA in downtown Northport. Don, I'm going to need you. It will take an accountant to figure out who the winner is. I promise you. This is I don't think anybody had Vanderbilt scoring 40 points. Let's start there. I don't think anybody had Alabama losing the game. Let's start there. And 35 points was a little bit on the low end. So, yeah.
Well, it wipes out like 3/4 of the entries because Bama lost to Vanderbilt.
Well, and the way we do it, is we miss it by points. Okay, so we had nobody that took Vanderbilt to beat Alabama, 0. Okay, so what we do is you miss Vanderbilt by 6, you miss Alabama by 10. Your raw score is 16. Whoever's got the lowest raw score, you walk away with the prize package. Alabama didn't lose a lot, so we don't have to worry about that. But days like today, days like last year, Michigan, Texas, kind of stings a little bit. So we'll talk to Brooks Austin coming up in about 30 minutes. Paul and Lincoln, you lead us out of the gate. I hope all is well. Oh, I didn't mash the button. See, I'm stumbling.
Hello.
Hey, Paul. How are you, man? I'm sorry. I was slow on the button. My bad.
You gotta pick up the pace, Ryan. Come on now.
I'll tell you what, I'm fixing to kick this microphone across the room.
Well, Ryan, I only missed Alabama by 5 points, so that's not terribly bad. But I missed Vanderbilt by 30 points. So, you know what I got to say about that, Ryan?
I was going to put some words in your mouth, but I'll let you say it.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Coach DeBoer, for that embarrassment Saturday in Nashville. Oh, God. What a coach. Last time I checked, I think it's public knowledge. It's public. You're making somewhere around $10,700,000 a year, which equates to roughly a little over $800,000 a month. Coach, you're getting paid a pretty good salary not to lose to Vanderbilt. You're a 22.5-point favorite against lowly Vanderbilt, and you go up there and you get kicked in the teeth.
You did.
So
yes, you did.
Absolutely got run, slapped out of the stadium. Ryan, you know what another embarrassment is, Ryan? Check this out.
What is it?
Vanderbilt ran the clock out on Alabama. They kept the ball from Alabama the last 2 minutes and 41 seconds. And listen to this. Alabama had 3 timeouts and the 2-minute timeout, yet Vanderbilt kept the ball. They ran the clock out on Alabama.
Oh,
Vanderbilt ran the clock out on Alabama.
Oh, I mean, it
not
was...
not LSU, not Tennessee, not Georgia, not Texas. Vanderbilt ran the clock out on Alabama. Think about that.
That stings.
Good
man.
Lord.
Oh, it stings.
That stings. Remember in 2015 when Alabama ran the clock out on LSU with Derrick Henry? We kept the ball 9 minutes to run the clock out on LSU. Vanderbilt ran the clock out on Alabama. A 22.5-point favorite, I might add. Vanderbilt ran the clock out on Alabama. Golly bum. Welcome to the new college football.
All right, so Paul, where does your the main responsibility? Obviously, it falls on Kalen DeBoer. I get that, but when you look at Alabama losing the game offensively, you did enough, but you could have probably done more.
Yeah, the offense. I mean, they had the ball a little over 17 minutes, scored 35 points. If you just get, maybe 2, maybe 3 more possessions, the game could possibly have turned. But I blame 2 double deuces on the field at one time on Coach DeBoer. That was a game-changing turn of events right there, Ryan. It's 4th down. They're lined up to punt. We're going to get the ball back. We got 2 double deuces on the field, and they take that ball with that penalty and drive for a touchdown. Huge momentum swing there. And Ryan, listen, our defense they could not stop them. Listen, I didn't get a chance to talk to call yesterday, so I'm kind of venting a little bit today.
You're fine. You've been away.
Yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt converted 12 third down attempts. 12 for 18. They converted 2 fourth down attempts. I mean, what in the heck is going on here? This is Vanderbilt we're talking about, okay? And listen, I know all that. I know that. Listen, I was eyewitness. I was in the catbird seat to all this. I was up there, and the Malachi Moore meltdown was right in front of me, and it was a terrible. The optics of that, Ryan. I don't know what all they showed on television, but the optics of that being in the stadium, watching it unfold in front of me, it was terrible. The optics were really, really, really bad. But the worst thing in everything, kicking the ball was bad. Taking his mouthpiece and slinging it, kicking the dirt, kicking the ground, all that was, Deontay Lawson comes up to him, tries to calm him down. He pushes him away. The 96 comes up to him. Tim Keenan comes up to him trying to calm him down. He pushes him away. And then your defensive coordinator walks out to the numbers, okay, is sending your substitute into the game to get you out the field, and you basically give your defensive coordinator the middle finger, and you say, "I'm not coming off the field. I'm not coming off the field." You send the substitute back, Bray Hubbard, and that was Ryan. Listen, I know he's apologized.
Well, just think if they would have had a timeout, Paul, they could have called a timeout and got him off the field, but they'd already used him trying to stop Vanderbilt, which didn't work.
Yeah, they'd already used them all trying to stop Vanderbilt from running out the clock on Alabama.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Paul, you got me back. I was going through the 7 stages of grief, and I was on stage 5. I think I'm back to 3 now.
Well, Ryan, it is what it is. I mean, listen, we talked about preseason losing a couple games here and there. Vanderbilt was never in the equation.
No, it was
okay?
Not. Yeah.
Never. Ryan, remember, Vanderbilt lost to who? Georgia State. Okay? Georgia State. Was Vanderbilt ranked, Ryan? I don't think they were.
They were not. No.
Was Alabama ranked?
Number 1.
I think they were number 1, right?
They were.
They ran the clock out on number 1 ranked Alabama. Okay.
All right, I'm back to stage 3, which is anger. I'm back. I was in shock and denial on Saturday. I'd already moved past bargaining and depression and reconstruction acceptance, but now I'm back to number 3, which is anger. So I'm back. Dead gummit.
I'm for Ryan.
Vanderbilt of all places. Vanderbilt. Okay, Vanderbilt.
It's Vanderbilt.
That's all right.
It's Vanderbilt,
okay.
Ryan.
You're going to work for us someday. And
exactly.
All right, so Paul, I was going to ask you, do you believe that this team can flip the script?
I'm going to be honest with you, Ryan. I think this coming Saturday is going to tell the tale. I'm like you. I think the offense has a lot of firepower given the chance to be, to have its fair share of possessions. But Ryan, this defense has to have a come to Jesus meeting. I'm not saying literally.
I hope they've already.
Well, yeah. I mean, they need to figure out what's important. You know, what's important is their legacy important? Is NIL important? Is what's important? Is the team important? Is is you doing your job? Because let's be honest, Ryan. Two of those. The 4th and 1, they threw right over the top of Malachi Moore's head. Okay? That was him back there trying to cover for that 4th and 1 touchdown throw by Diego. Okay? And then 2nd and 12 on the drive, they ran the clock out on us. It was his guy that floated out into the flat and caught the ball and converted the 2nd and 12. I think he gained about 13, 14. And that sealed it right there. That sealed it. That sealed the game. That allowed Vanderbilt to run out the clock on Alabama.
Paul, do you want to save your score for another day tomorrow, or do you want to give it today? Or do you? I mean,
let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it, right?
I mean, I wasn't going to stop you. I mean, I was going to let you. I mean, but I am 2 minutes after 3. But it's okay.
I know.
You're okay.
I know. You've got to pay the bills, Ryan. I understand.
Hey, Paul. No. This has been my life for about 72 hours. Is this right here?
Okay.
Yeah.
And
it's not just you. It's not just you. Okay. I mean, I've had 5 or 6 former players. What the blank is wrong? What the blank?
Yeah.
So they're hurting,
exactly.
They're hurting too. All right, here we go, Paul. What's your
I got you. Give me. I'm going to go Alabama 38. The Gamecocks 28.
Ooh. Okay. So take South Carolina plus the points. Okay. Tiebreaker is what? You want to go defense?
I will not touch. I will shoot. No, I will not touch this defense. We gotta lean on. We gotta lean on this offense. So let's go. Let's go. Let's go Jalen. Let's go Jalen Milroe passing yards.
Okay.
Let's go passing yards.
Okay. All right. Where do you want to go?
Jalen's going to give us 340 passing yards.
340. All right, Paul. Appreciate you, man. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide and roll MAGA.
Paul in Lincoln, he's fired up as he was. That might be a nomination to send to Fox. You're welcome to make your call, or we can send it to Fox Radio. Not Fox Sports Radio, Fox TV. All right, we welcome you right back into the game. Brooks Austin put up a video with Alabama's defensive scheme is way too predictable. Currently, that has 427,000 views. 427,000 views. He is also the film guy on YouTube. Subscribe. We're obviously on YouTube. He's got about a 43-minute, 18-second video breaking down Alabama. And right now we go to Brooks Austin. Brooks, welcome back to Tuscaloosa. I hope you can make sense of what happened against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, Ryan. I spent a good bit watching that football game. And, it's a lot to take away, certainly, for sure. Glad to be on here with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I got a lot of folks that love you, a lot of folks that, pointed out your work. I even had some guys that told me that they found you on the sidelines and took a few selfies when you were here a couple of weeks ago. So they love to watch your work, and I'm kind of excited to kind of dive into a lot of different things with you, man. So I appreciate you being part of our show. Let's just start from a generic standpoint before we kind of go into the scheme. What's your biggest number one takeaway? And maybe this has something to do with what you put up on the Twitter side of things with Alabama's loss to Vanderbilt.
No, I always like to start these things with providing credit before criticism. I think to win and pull off that type of upset, Vanderbilt football players had to absolutely make plays, right? They had to execute and they had to go, even outside of the scheme, even outside of some of the clips that I posted on Twitter. If you go look at that football game, man, every single time Pavia needed to make a play and that football team needed to make a play, they did exactly that. I go back to 2 4th and 1 in that football game, right? The 4th and 1 that was a touchdown pass for Vanderbilt, man, that was that guy's third option. I mean, he's clicking through multiple reads, getting all the way back to the backside, makes a great throw, and then the receiver makes a great play on the other side. You go to another 4th and 1. They're in the red zone, about to score the football. Pavia is scrambling to his left. He's 9-10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he somehow gets to the sideline, extends his full body out, reaches out past the sideline, gets up, and picks the first down up. Man, they made every single play in that football game that they needed to, outside of just the scheme work that their coordinator and their coaching staff was putting them in a position to win from.
All right. When you look at Alabama, okay, when you look at Alabama's mistakes on the defensive side of the football, what jumped off to you about the mistakes that they made?
So I thought Womack and the defensive staff did a really good job of adjusting to the run scheme that was happening to them early on in that football game. Vanderbilt was having success off tackle with a lot of option looks, and those are hard to prepare for, especially if they're doing something new. If they haven't shown an option look on tape before and they go out and run it, you're going to misfit that a couple of times. That's going to require an immediate in-game adjustment. The problem in that football game was that Vanderbilt was 12 of 18 on third down. How do you convert 2/3 of your third downs? Well, most of that was, predicated off of scheme, like I showed on film, where Alabama's been playing a lot of what I call cover one robber, what is called cover one robber defense, where a lot of the defensive backs are in man-to-man coverage. And when you're consistently playing that style of defense, as an offensive coordinator, I can consistently scheme up against you. I don't have to have the best players in the world if I have plays that are attacking your schematics. And that showed up on tape on third down time after time after time again on that tape, man.
So, Brooks, when you look at this, how would you explain why they're so predictable? Is this youth? Is it starting a lot of young players in certain key positions? Or would you just explain that this is maybe Kane Womack's defense?
So, again, I like to give credit before criticism. If you really watch that game closely, Vanderbilt is huddling, and not only are they maintaining possession, right? They're continuing drives, they're running the football effectively or effectively enough, but they're huddling up. So it's not giving the defense a very good opportunity to see what we're doing or to even disguise what they're doing, right? So they break the huddle with 11 seconds left. They run out there, and then they provide a late motion. It's really, really hard. If you listen to Malachi Moore, he's talking about, hey, man, we were getting calls in late. Well, the reason they were getting calls in late was because they were breaking the huddle, was Vandy really late. So, again, a lot of credit to what Vanderbilt was doing, but a lot of that has to be determined or adjusted with on the sideline during the football game. And I didn't see much of that, if any, from a coverage standpoint. They did enough from an adjustment standpoint to stop the run. We didn't see any adjustments like we did in that second half against Georgia defensively from Alabama. They threw a couple of different looks at Carson Beck and forced a couple of turnover-worthy plays even in that second half where Georgia was having some success.
So, Brooks, when you go back to this Alabama defense and the problems that they've had, do you think that some of these things are fixable, and can you implement different schemes to maybe be a little less predictable?
100%, man. The silver lining in this whole thing is that you've got a very veteran bunch on that defensive side of the football. You've got really, really smart football players too, right? Malachi Moore, Jahad Campbell, Deontay Lawson, Keon Stopp. These are really, really smart football players in that second and third levels of those defenses that, yes, they've already shown on tape they have an ability to disguise coverages. They have an ability to play multiple coverages. You've just got to deploy those a lot more as a defensive coordinator, in my opinion, right? We've got to put those guys in opportunities to throw different looks at an offense on Saturdays when we play against a very unique offense like Vanderbilt. And you've got to be willing to bend on your coverage adjustments, right? I know if you want to be a man-to-man coverage team, that's great. But every team, you can't just give them the same looks over and over again. You got to be able to pitch to them, man. You got to have some different change-ups, curveballs. You got to be able to locate. You got to do all that good stuff, all that cliche stuff.
All right, so you're basically, the way that I understood, watching your video, you think this is more of you don't think it's a player problem. You think this is coaching.
I mean, to be honest with you, there's still some busts out there, man. Like, there's still some opportunities where it's 3rd and 9. Our defensive coordinators put us in a position to make a tackle and get up off the field. It's no different than anything else. There's not one singular issue, man. There is a variety of problems. Prime example, right? The 17-play drive we have two examples of oopsies by the coach and oopsies by the player. Oopsie by the coach, number one. We're getting off the field. We force an incompletion on 3rd and 5. Defense does a great job. We've got two guys on the field with the same jersey number. Play extended, or drive extended, right? The same drive later on in the drive. We're 3rd and 9. We get a deflected pass. We're about to get up off the field and force a field goal. But number 34 put his hands in the face of the quarterback, right? So, like, those are both. That's oopsie on the coach and oopsie on the player. And that happened all 4 quarters in that football game. So I don't like is it this one thing? No, man, there was 150 snaps in that football game, and they beat you on a couple, and you beat yourselves on the other.
But overall, when you look at time of possession, certainly the defensive side of the football needs to be able to clean up some of those things. But I mean, when you look at time of possession, if I only show you time of possession, it is that lopsided. Do you need to do this? You need to see the scoreboard?
Not normally, but with Alabama's offense, you kind of have to. I'm not saying ignore time of possession, but time of possession with Alabama statistics the rest of the year, I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna be lopsided because of what you do offensively. Saturday offensively, man, you scored a touchdown and then you punted. You scored a touchdown and then you punted, and it wasn't like we're driving 15 plays, score a touchdown. It's explosive. That's what y'all do. That's what the offense is. Explosive and boom or bust. This is something, not to pull back the old coach, but this is something Saban's actually talked about with this offense for the last 2 years. Too much all or nothing. Too much big play, explosive, big play negatives. There's no sustaining of offensive drives. So even when we score, that's great. The defense just got off the field for 17 plays, and we got to go back out there and play again. There's got to be a way of being able to play with selective pace, or else those time of possession numbers are going to be staggered the rest of the year, Ryan.
So complimentary football, because the area that I go back to point out is Vanderbilt. You had 84 total yards of rushing, and if you look at the backs, now I know you count rushing with Jalen Milroe, I get it, but it was 56 yards against Georgia from just the backs, right? Just 56 yards. Could you run a little football and take a little pressure off that defense?
Oh, you certainly could, and I think that's something that he will learn from and he will grow from. And by the way, I'm almost hesitant to criticize offensive-minded football coaches who live like that, because when they score 48 points, they win 48-21. Nobody criticizes them, right? But when they lose 40-35, and their defense can't get off the field, and we're boom or bust offensively, now it looks terrible. You know what I mean? Now everybody's criticizing my methods and criticizing how I go about it. I think you're just better off living your life and living to a code. And it's very clear to me that Kalen DeBoer lives by an offensive code. They're going to do what they do. And I'm fine with that as long as you stand 10 toes on it, right? As long as you're that way all the time. I'm not going to be a results-based criticizer. I don't think that's fair.
We're talking right now with Brooks Austin. He is the film guy. He's a guy that's the director of recruiting for SI, the network. And Brooks, I want to go into a couple of different things on the offensive side of the football. How have you seen Jalen Milroe take that big next step?
I mean, it's been progression through the reads, right? I think last year it was, all right, first read's a little cloudy. We'll get to number 2, and then we'll take off. Well, this year I've seen him, click through some reads a little bit faster, not only get to number 3, potentially to number 4 before we take off and scramble, but he's clicking through them much cleaner and much faster. But the real progression in this offense, in my opinion, has been through the quarterback run game and the design quarterback run game. I thought Tommy Rees did the best job he could last year, morphing mid-season, turning into a pro-style, going from a pro-style offense into more of a quarterback RPO-based offense. The only problem with that was Jalen Milroe was not accustomed, or at least comfortable, consistently making the right read option reads on, the different types of schemes that they were running last year. If you watch the quarterback runs this year for Jalen Milroe, they are designed quarterback runs. There's no read. There's no, hey, am I keeping it? Am I giving it? Am I throwing it? Do I look at this guy? No. It's put your foot in the gas. Let's go pick it up. You're the design runner. And you've really seen, in my opinion, growth from this guy as a runner of the football.
Going back to self-scout, and you had the bye week going into Georgia. So what was it that worked about Georgia in that first half that maybe they counter, or was the first half just working? And obviously Georgia made second half adjustments. I think when you look at Kirby Smart, it's one of the best in the business of making those halftime adjustments. But what was it about the first half of Georgia that was so successful on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, so defensively, Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart certainly made an adjustment. When you're talking about holding Georgia to 7 points in the first half, how does that happen? How are you so successful? And look, this is going to sound like I'm defending or I'm making excuses, but the reality is Georgia did not execute in that football game. The first possession of the game, they've got a 60-yard bomb being thrown to Arian Smith, and he's open. He drops it. It goes right through his hands. The very next play, they've got a 45-yard explosive that gets called back because Dominic Lovett has an offensive PI. All right, the very next possession, Carson Beck checks out of a zero blitz or checks out of a run play against a zero blitz and calls a tunnel screen. Arian Smith runs a route. He busts the assignment, and it turns into an interception. Now, all of a sudden, you're down 14-0. The very next possession, Alabama has a delightful simulated pressure call. They got a bunch of guys walked up on the line of scrimmage. It makes Carson kind of check out of what they got going on. Well, if they ran the play that they got going on instead of checking the ball down, it looks like a touchdown on tape. So all of this stuff, and by the way, all of this stuff showed up against Wisconsin. Wisconsin had guys running deep into Alabama's back end, but they didn't have a quarterback that could throw the ball forward. South Florida, same exact thing. They had defensive or wide receivers running wide open, but Byron Brown doesn't know how to throw the ball in a forward pass motion. So they struggled to move the ball effectively. But all of this stuff has shown its head on tape over and over and over again. It's a matter of execution from the opposition, right? For the last 6 quarters, the teams that Alabama has been playing defensively have been executing and have been catching balls and winning one-on-ones. And when you do that, you're going to move the ball effectively against this defense this year.
All right, Brooks, we're 5 weeks into the football season. You got the bye week. Alabama has beat a number 2 team, and they've lost to Vanderbilt, an unranked football team that they were a 22.5-point favorite. When you look at the rest of the season, give me some expectations. What are your expectations for Alabama closing out this season? I know we still got quite a few more games to go, but where do you think this team goes from here?
Look, man, I believe Womack and this defensive staff will get something fixed, right? I think people are forgetting they kind of just got there. They just got there in January and February, and they spent the first 2 months trying to keep everybody on their roster. So let's give them some time to, not only install some fixes, but learn how to call them in the midst of this football game. But I expect in the meantime, Alabama to have to outscore their opponents, right? You're going to have to win 48-40, especially when you go to Neyland and, several weeks or, in a couple weeks. So that one's going to be tough. And that's obviously a different animal, by the way, offensively from Tennessee. So that they require their own defensive game plan. That one will be studied and designed for in and of itself because of what they do offense.
All right, going back to the defensive side of the football, and you look at the offense that Kalen DeBoer runs and Jalen Milroe, when you talk about attacking this defense in practice, I know you don't have a lot of time to go good on good, but how big of a luxury is it when you've got this type of offense that you can go after this defense a little bit and maybe expose their weaknesses?
Ryan, you mentioned something there. You don't have a lot of time to go good on good. Again, not to do that's what the last coach did. But Nick Saban on Monday and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they were doing good on good. They were banging and clanging, as I call it, right? And in the Georgia spaces, it's called Bloody Tuesday. You know who he took that from? He took that from the head coach that he coached under for 9 years. Okay, so they normally do in college football. Normally, you are out here practicing physically, going good on good for a small portion, a relatively small portion during the week, but it's still available. And you're right. That is something that was a little bit surprising to me to see on tape because, to be honest with you, Vanderbilt used some of the offensive quarterback run game that Alabama uses. It's very similar to looks, and they looked almost not necessarily confused, but unprepared, right? You heard Kane Womack talk about our defense played on their heels too much. Well, why do we play on our heels as a defensive player? Because we are not confident in what we are seeing in front of us, because we were not prepared for what we are seeing in front of us.
Brooks, when you look and go back and studying Kane Womack's 4-2-5 defense, is this something that he was predictable at South Alabama?
I wish I could sit here and lie to you and tell you that I was grinding South Alabama tape.
Okay. All right. Hey, I got you.
Oh, man.
Well, listen, it is a lot of fun. I want to give you this last little bit to invite people to connect with you. 426,000 people watching your video and wanted to reach out because it's been a kind of a trending over here. I mean, I can't tell you how many times somebody shared this. Go watch this. Go watch this. Go watch this. But that's only an appetizer. That's like the bread and butter before the steak. Talk about the Film Guy on the network on YouTube.
Yeah, man, I always, listen to these football coaches after the game, and a media person will ask them, like, a question about the performance or what happened. And the first thing the coach will normally say is, well, I got to go watch the tape. Before I bring you an opinion, I've got to go watch the tape. And when I first got into this industry, I realized that very few people were watching the tape before they ran to the microphone with opinions. So being a former football player and being someone who played it for a while, I'm still very well connected to the game, and that's the way we like to do it over on the Film Guy Network. We always say we do it a little bit different, and that's the way we do it, right? We take it from a football-first perspective, and like Ryan said, you can check us out on the Film Guy Network over on YouTube, and you can find all my social media stuff at Brooks Austin BA. Ryan, I really do appreciate you for having me on, man.
No. Listen, man. I mean, I love the energy, man. Love the energy, and we're always looking for solutions. We're always looking for issues that Alabama needs to correct, and certainly we'll see. Brooks, I appreciate you, man, for being a part of our show, and hopefully we'll cross paths very, very soon. Thank you again for the time.
No doubt, man. We'll talk to you soon.
He's the lead editor at Bulldog SI. He's the director of recruiting for SI, and he's the film guy on the YouTube side of things. So it's fun to be able to pick his brain for a couple of minutes. All right, so we're right back to score predictions. Southern Ale House score prediction day. Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard, 1530 McFarland Boulevard. And then also looking ahead to Dockside, Marina Drive up on 43, past Winn-Dixie, about 3 miles on the right. Beautiful Lake Tuscaloosa. Dockside open today for dinner, tomorrow for dinner, lunch and dinner on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, brunch until 4 on Sunday, closed on Monday. The original location, 1530 McFarland Boulevard, lunch and dinner options Monday through Saturday. We're wide open. We're taking phone calls the rest of the way. Southern Ale House score prediction day on top. One council chooses not to eliminate the spring transfer portal window. That was a big discussion. Instead, they're going to shorten the time from 45 days to 30 days. So you'll have from December the 9th through the 28th. Now, just kind of understand where we're at, okay? This is the world of college football. December the 9th through the 28th. Does anybody know what's going to be happening December the 9th through the 28th? Let me tell you. College football playoffs. What are we going to tell these young men? Quit on your team. That's what we're going to do. December the 9th through the 28th. December the 9th through the 28th. April the 16th through the 25th. Spring football period. Okay, no problem. April the 16th through the 25th. College basketball will open the second round of the tournament. This bunch that's running college football. One day we're going to do a show. What's worse? What's happening in Washington, D.C., or what's happening at the NCAA headquarters? I mean, they're nuts. I mean, they're literally... Anyway, I don't want to get on the soapbox. Matt Rule, Nebraska head football coach, took up for Alabama and explained how can Alabama lose to Vanderbilt in the current state of college football. Matt Rule, head football coach, coached at Baylor, coached the National Football League. He said this yesterday.
It's great. Again, it goes back to what I said all training camp of looking at the schedule before the season and saying what games are easy and what games are hard is not true, and it's not the way of college football anymore. Everyone's got to get that in. Like how many teams lost to teams that you would have never thought Alabama would ever lose to Vandy. You never would have thought maybe USC would lose to Minnesota. The portal, transfers, and it's changed all of it. That's why there's no undefeated NFL teams, right? So, it used to be that a player would say, man, I got offered from, whomever, Ohio State. I'm going there, But now he might get offered, I might get offered from Blue Mountain State, let's just say. And that's the top school in the country. And they're offering, hey, we'll give you, X amount of money. And another school that's 2 pegs lower on the pecking order of recruiting will say, hey, we'll give you 3 times that. Because for this guy, he's their 15th best recruit. But for them, they're like, well, we can't get those guys. Let's get him. So now that kid's like, do I go there for $50,000 or do I go there for $250,000? So all of a sudden so why were the great teams of the 90s and 2010s, why were they so dominant? They stacked up all the talent. And when guys got hurt, the next guy came in was also a Parade All-American. Now the Parade All-Americans are all spreading out a little bit more. So it's just different. So the days of, it's just different now. So I think Indiana's a tremendous example of that. It's a completely different roster this year than it was next year. You guys got stuck with me. Like I said, I didn't get to bring anybody with me. I love Bryant, but he can't play. They didn't let me bring McCaffrey. They didn't let me bring Brian Burns. So we came in here and we just been building with the guys that were here and trying to recruit. Just kind of a little more the old school way. But you know what? Like people that are moving now, it's just a different world. So we all have to just adjust to it.
There it is. Tommy, Romulus. Tommy, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All is well, Ryan. How are you?
I'm good.
Well, I'm glad Biscuit Bruce went before I did. He really hit a home run, scored a touchdown, made a 3-point winning basket. He hit everything right. As one thing I haven't heard all week.
Okay.
And I want to be the first person. Somebody might have done it, but I haven't heard. You can correct me. I want to congratulate Clark Lee and the Vanderbilt Commodores to having a great game plan and winning the ball game. I haven't heard an Alabama fan say that and show any class. I am really miffed at the Alabama fan base. We are not a bunch of whiners. Did you honestly believe this man was going to win 15 years in a row without losing the game? And did you think Vanderbilt was going to lose forever? No. Some bad Saturday happens, and it called football. And Matt Rule was correct, the head coach of Nebraska. I mean, I had a bunch of lists to fuss about, but them two, Bruce and him, have covered a good bit of it. And it's a good thing because I'm very disappointed. Nobody congratulates Vanderbilt. Nobody showed the class. It's great we have class when we win, but Coach Bryant, Coach Stalin, and Coach Saban always say it shows more class when you lose. And we didn't show that this weekend. The Bama Nation went up there to Nashville. Oh, we're going to go honky-tonkin' Friday night. We're going to eat prime rib. We're going to do the strip. Oh, by the way, we'll have a game Saturday, and we're going to do it again Saturday night. But guess what? Little Vanderbilt broke up the birthday party up there, and the Vanderbilt student body walked down Main Street with the goalpost. Congratulations, Vanderbilt. You played a great football game. You did what Alabama should have done. They began the game, punched Alabama in the mouth, and they ended the game the same way they started. Congratulations.
Tommy, you're not mad, man.
Well, no. I'm not happy, but you know what? This whining crap I've heard the last 2 days is really, oh, yeah, Bruce saved me and so did Matt Rose, because I had a 30-minute speech ready. I was going to get on Bama Nick time because I just like, well, he didn't do his job. He got to get paid $800,000 a month. Oh, put a sock in it. And Ron Williams going to have 225 yards against South Carolina. Blah, blah. Ryan Williams is only one player on this team, and football is team sport. I'm tired of hearing about one individual. This is a team. We get to be a bunch of individuals, not a team. So fans, don't think about the playoffs no more. Focus on South Carolina. Y'all have laughed at me, made fun of me, saying I'm an old man. Focus on the game. Well, we didn't focus on Vanderbilt, and they whooped us. All right, on both sides of the ball. Deal with it. So, what else do you want? You want to blame the coach? Well, I got news for you. Nick Saban at LSU lost to UAB his first year. He lost to Louisiana Monroe, I think, the Warhawks or whatever, first year at Alabama. Coach Stalin went 0-3 his first game, and people were ready to run Huey Ingram out of town. We didn't have Bobby Bowden, but you got it. But guess what? It's going to work out down the road, people. All right? Be patient. Don't turn them back. This ain't a Paul Firebaum show when you're real. No, we support our team. It's okay to criticize them. I don't have a problem criticizing. And when players do wrong, they need to be called out. But, well, we might not have the right coaches. I'm like, it's game 5, people. And I heard Pat say, well, we got to get ready for the playoffs. No, man, we got to get ready for South Carolina. I'm calling you out. And somebody say, oh, I didn't say that. Tommy's wrong. Yeah, I'm the fair weather moron fan, everybody calls. So you know what? Yeah, I'm very disappointed in the Alabama family. You sound like a bunch of candy-assed crybabies. Toughen up.
Toughen up!
And I do not want to be on Fox.
You don't want to be on Fox?
No. I don't want the show to become called Firebaum. I don't want to be like Jim and Tammy and all them other ones screaming at people. I'm screaming today because last week I was so nice. It was sickening. They had to give puppies the stepper truck. I was so nice. I made them sick in the basket. I was so adorable. It was, I paid you a compliment. I was nice all last week. And look where it got us.
It's your fault.
Yes, it is. I'm not going to be nice. All right?
USC and Alabama, what do you think?
I'm going to say 38 Alabama, South Carolina 19.
38-19, Jalen Milroe total passing yards.
287.
I got you. Tommy, roll Tide.
All right, man. Y'all be good.
We'll continue with more of the game coming up next. Dale, get ready. We're coming your way. Blueberry Steve, Montreal, Canada, you're on deck. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Moving into our first home came with a lot of unknowns.
That's why we got Blink Outdoor for wire-free space.
Rumsey Environmental, a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. If you're in the construction business, take a little bit of stress out of your life. The construction debris removal containers customized to fit your job site, the portable toilet service, the storage containers to protect your valuables. It's Rumsey Environmental for that complete waste removal service when you have to know.
Available with approved credit. PTG Outdoors open Monday through Friday, 8 until 5 in the old L&L Marine location in Northport. Call 333-1605.
Alabama Credit Union with the official countdown to Alabama Crimson Tide football right here on the game. AlabamaCU.com. The mobile app saves a lot of time. The mobile deposits, checking, savings, mortgage, home equity loan, financing a vehicle, the great competitive rates. Alabama Credit.
Spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
For over 5 years in our community in downtown Northport under that Roll Tide Bridge, Mark's Mark, the home of the chicken swirl. You'll find that since 1978 in Selma, Alabama, for over 5 years in downtown Northport. If you want to dominate the grill today or any day, find Mark's Mark. A great stop by on your way home. If you're preparing for dinner, they've got a lot of those gourmet dishes that you can find, the great casseroles, the dips, the appetizers, the great steaks, the pork chops, the burgers, and all the supplies you need to
Dell Rewards and expert support. When you get a Dell PC with AI, it gives back. Shop now at Dell.com/deals.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.
All right, it's Rumsey Environmental. It's a one-stop shop serving West Alabama for all of your waste removal needs. When you have to know it's being done right, that's a time to call Rumsey Environmental. I also remind you about The Standard, thestandardbama.com, home of the 20-inch pizza pie, pepperoni, meat lovers, cheese. Design your own wings, boneless wings, mac and cheese bites, cheese sticks. Carry out, available by DoorDash or a full-service restaurant. TheStandardBama.com. TheStandardBama.com, University Boulevard. Let's continue with more phone calls, and we go here to Bama Nick. Bama Nick, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan Fowler. How's it hanging?
Not worth the flip.
Yeah, I've been hearing people getting on your case.
Yeah, Bama Nick, what advice would you guy that I don't drink, okay?
Well, you should You should, Fowler. You should start drinking heavily.
Okay. I'm starting to think that may be the best option. What advice?
It is, Fowler. It's the only option.
Okay.
It's the only option.
Okay. So if I go into a store, where would you advise that I start at?
The liquor store.
Yeah. What? I know the liquor store, but
well, I don't know what stores are over there in Coker, Alabama, or Tuscaloosa.
Okay.
Well, I know where I go. I know where I go here in America, Georgia. I go to Mike's Liquor Store.
Okay, so I go to the liquor store. What aisle should I go down? Yeah,
the bourbon aisle.
The bourbon. Okay, so you think I should start with the bourbon? Okay.
Yeah.
My old man. Listen, my dad drank enough for the rest of the family.
Well, so did my old man. So we got something in common.
Okay, he was a big White Russian guy. That was his thing.
Oh. Fowler, you don't drink White Russians, Fowler. That's just a woman's drink. That's a woman's drink. They love them White Russians. Drink you some damn Kentucky bourbon straight up.
Do you think it'll fix Alabama's defensive deficiencies?
Hell, ain't nothing going to fix them after I saw Saturday night.
Yeah.
Only thing will fix their deficiency is to find some players that want to play, Fowler. So I can say, and I got to give a shout out today to Biscuit, Bruce, Dale, and Tommy. Great calls. They nailed everything right on the T-Town. They had some great calls. And Josh, I would recommend you start pouring heavily too.
Okay. Josh
and I can't believe they're leaving you out the tailgate party.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, it'd be like calling Caitlin DeBoer and saying, "Coach, I'm going to buy you lunch."
That's right. I heard what you said. Yeah, buy you beefsteak, and then
I didn't
practice.
Yeah, I didn't realize you had practice, Coach. I mean, you've only did it for so many weeks. Yeah, I didn't know you had practice, Coach. No big deal.
Well, that's right. But who's putting that shindig together over there at tailgate? Who's Josh said he just doesn't go hang out.
That would be he's not small, but he's
a Kit Kat.
No. He's not small, but he's
Jumbo.
There you go. Jumbo.
I know. So I had to hear Jumbo. You know, former wrestler and all that. You know.
I mean, how you think that makes me feel?
Well, it make me feel pretty bad, pal. It make me feel like they treat you like the clap doctor.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm going to hang out with you guys all 4 hours on Friday. I'm not going anywhere. But it is a little shocking that I get treated this way.
Yeah, it is, pal. I can't believe it. You know, they didn't schedule it around your schedule.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
you are the number one sports.
4:30 in the afternoon, and then they'll get mad at me because I didn't show up.
That's right.
I get treated like this. My team got beat by Vanderbilt. Marty calls me from the crapper.
Yeah, he was in the crapper. I could hardly understand what he's saying. I didn't even plug.
I was just curious. You know, like, have you ever been on the crapper? When you get a phone call, you answer it. Okay.
Every morning.
Oh, do you call from the crapper? Okay, but see,
I get called. I'll be on Facebook. Somebody will call me when I'm on the crapper.
But here's the thing, though. Okay, those motion detection automatic flush toilets, those are the worst.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Because you got to lean back on them to make sure that they don't flush, but then you're touching a nasty, nasty toilet.
That's right. That's right, fellas.
I was kind of.
I make sure I do all my business before I leave the house. That way, cause when I'm out with Carrie Moore, like today, we was out putting up campaign signs all over the county.
I don't really have that choice, Bama Nick. I mean, when nature calls, I got to go, just as long as it's not between 2 and 6.
Yeah, well, even between 2 and 6, you go down there. I mean, I talked to Jaisha when she was talking to me when I called in. Me and her had a good little talk.
Okay.
So where's Pilot? Well, he had to take a break. Yeah, he went down to the urinal cakes.
No. Here's my issue. Here is my issue. I have the smallest bladder in sports talk radio history. I get water every other break, and I pee every other break. So I'm pretty much synced up. Once I get it started, that's the pattern.
Oh, well. I can't help you on that, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a small bladder, so I mean, I can't do anything about that.
Well, I ain't no medical professional. Ask your wife; she'll tell you what to do.
She's already heard me enough. I've complained enough to her. I've already used every mulligan that I thought I had. It's gone.
Yes, sir.
It's gone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Yeah.
She told me. I don't know if my wife knows enough about football that there's 11 on offense, 11 on defense. But
well,
she said if they play like this, she's just going to keep reading books. And I said, well, that's probably.
Well, I sit out here, and me and Bab McCarthy be watching the game, and I'll have to sit here and tell her, what's going on. This. And by the way, fella, I think she won that parlay pick.
Okay.
Contest. I sent you a message. Better check it.
Okay.
I think Bab McCarthy.
Well, I just hope the parlay pick contest will be a little easier than the score prediction, because it'll take a mathematician to figure out who won last week's score prediction.
Yeah, well, I know I didn't.
Well, I mean, I'm almost like claiming the house won or something,
Well, did anybody take Vanderbilt?
No.
In the score?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know, fella. That's why you got the CPAs doing it and all that.
Yeah, Don Wallace, CPA. He'll have to. Right. Yeah, he'll have to compute all this data points and see who's the winner, because I've been working on it pretty much during the breaks that I don't go to the bathroom or go get water. I'm calculating all this. I mean, it's a mess. I mean, it's a big old jumbled up mess. But
everybody's taking Bama. I mean,
all right. So
it's a mess.
So Bama Nick, in your heart of heart, do you think we can flip the script?
I believe so, Ryan, fella. I believe so. But I agree with Tommy. You take one game. I think I told you go one game at a time. I think I told you last week. We need to get off the Georgia win and start looking ahead to Vandy. I think I told you that, fella. I told you. I remember I told you. Quit celebrating Georgia and get on to looking at Vandy game and start preparing for. I don't know, fella. I had all my analysis done.
No. You're right, Bama Nick. I missed a lot of tackles in that game.
I go week to week. If we win a game, it's over that Sunday. It's over with. Look ahead to you playing the next Saturday day. That's why I agree with Tommy on that call he made. And he's right. Tommy was right on his call. Dead on it. And Biscuit Bruce was dead on it. And Dale, they were all great calls today. I enjoyed them. So I don't know. We got to get over it. We got to put it to pass and look ahead. South Carolina game, that's what you got to do. Take them 1 week at a time. That's all I can tell you, pal.
That's it.
I don't know. I know that 4-2-5 ain't working.
You're going to have to go to a 4. I was thinking maybe if we could go
I'm thinking a 3-4. Go to a 3-4.
I was thinking more if we went to a 4-2-7.
Oh, Jesus Christ, fella.
I mean, if we play with one extra defensive back than we're allowed to play with.
4-2-7, let me see, 6. Yeah. 4-2-7. Hell, fella, that's 13 players. We got to use 2 extra players.
Well, I mean,
we probably still couldn't cover the receivers.
As long as, we could bring one up in the box, right? We could do that. Yeah.
I tell you what, and make sure they ain't wearing the same numbers.
Yeah, and so here we are. I
don't know, fella. I had my analysis of the game all planned out for you on your show, and then you screwed me on that deal.
Well, we were actually trying to get CTSN off. They only went 45 minutes, so we were not good at time management in the game or out of the game. And
right, I sat here the whole game. I got.
Oh no! I mean, you were going to be our lead guy, and then, everybody else.
Yeah, T-Town text me and said, he's going to be on short. Hell, that was 10 o'clock, 10:30 my time. I can't stay up that time.
No. I mean, it was almost like we were so late going on at walk-ons. And I know we have a great partnership with CTSN, but they screwed us on Saturday evening.
Yeah.
I mean, they just kept recapping the scores. Like, no, we already know the score. You guys can't give an opinion because you work for the university. I get it. You got to sugarcoat everything.
That's right. I understand, but I just want to let you know. I tried. I was sitting out here, catching saying, and all my friends, all my supporters here in Georgia saying, well, Bama Nick, you're going to go on there. They heard your show, you know. I said, they were listening. And I didn't never go on, and they called me today. Well, Bama, what happened? I thought you was going to do an analysis on the game with Fowler. I said, well, I tried to get in, a call, and he wasn't on. It was Christian Miller and Richardson or something was doing the one when I was on the 100.9 app.
Yeah. I was just waiting. I was like,
and that was at 10 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
My
I mean,
time.
listen, we closed that place. We were doing a local restaurant here in Tuscaloosa, Walk-Ons. We were down.
Right.
And they had closed, and we were still there about an hour late. So we were just hanging out. I mean, the kitchen staff was already cleaned up the kitchen. They were ready to go.
That's right.
We were just.
And I just had to go to bed.
I can't blame you. No, I mean, I did too. Anyway. I couldn't go to bed. I mean, it was late. So.
Well, I'd pour me some PBRs, but I didn't pour enough to where I wasn't going to be able to give you the analysis. If we'd have got on, I was going to be able to give you. In other words, I didn't get drunk, Fowler. I'm blaming that on you, because normally after that game, I'd have poured a lot of beers back in the old days, but now I'm old, and my old daddy always told me, Nick, it's like when we do these parlay picks and these score picks, you don't bet with your heart. If you're trying to win money or whatever, you got to go, you don't bet with your heart. You bet with the point spread. And I thought hard about taking Vanderbilt in that Bama game, but I didn't. I let Bama Kathy do it. I said, you take them, Kathy. Let them yell at you. You can call in the foul. I let her handle all them underdogs. She picked Auburn. They covered. Picked Michigan State. They covered. Picked Vanderbilt. Woo, Fowler.
All right.
It was rough.
Here we go. Bama Nick.
Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to give you a score today. I don't know if I'll be able to call tomorrow, but I'll go ahead and give you my score today. I'm going Bama 35, South Carolina 14.
Okay. Jalen Milroe passing yards?
I'm going to go about, I don't know, 248.
248?
I know Jalen's still going to throw the ball. He's still going to get his yards. I ain't worried. He's still a great quarterback. I ain't worried about him. It's the defense that scares me. And the penalties. Them damn penalties, Fowler.
Yeah,
Lord,
we got to clean that part up. That's a very, very frustrating.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right, Ryan. It's frustrating when we had them stop and that two deuces on it.
Let me see where the penalties. We're 114th in the country in penalty yards per game. Ooh, that's not good.
Mercy. No, last year you
know who's worse than we are, don't you?
Let me think. Auburn.
No, South Carolina. It's going to be a long morning, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, Georgia's down there too. Georgia's actually below us. All right. I got to run, man. Appreciate you.
I know, Ryan. I just wanted to call in and clatter with you a minute.
All right. Thank you, man.
I'm sorry I took up other people's time, but it is what it is.
Hold tight. We'll continue with more of the game. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Come on, Harry. We want to say goodnight to you.
Northport Power Equipment, largest inventory Husqvarna dealer in the Southeast. You'll find the Husqvarna models for residential and the professional landscapers, Skag commercial mowers, residential mowers, backpack blowers, handheld blowers, battery-operated tools. The service department at Northport Power Equipment.
It's fresh when you order. So whatever the size of your appetite,
there's always something delicious waiting for you here at Taco Casa.
Taco Casa, under the biggest cactus in town.
MedCenterUrgentCare.com. We expect the unexpected. Locations in Tuscaloosa, Northport, North River, right there off Rice Mine Road, Fayette, Demopolis, Hoover. The great doctors, urgent care, family medicine, injuries, occupational health, sports physicals. We do expect the unexpected.
NyQuil VapoCool, the vaporizing nighttime coughing, aching, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Blue Spring Living Water is located in Bluntsville, Alabama, Blount County, about an hour north of Birmingham. Blue Spring Living Water is harvested and bottled from a centuries-old natural spring on a private family farm. Blue Spring is an all-natural water source that flows just under 1 million gallons a day. They have partnered with Waterway of Alabama, and they've been in the water delivery business for over 30 years. To have Blue Spring Living Water delivered right to your home, right to your front door every month. New customers get their 5 jugs for $50, and the empties are exchanged every month for new ones. I know we have it at the Fowler household. We drink more water because of BlueSpringLivingWater.com. You can sign up at 205-602-3426. Talk to someone directly. Blue Spring Living Water can also be found Mark's Mark, downtown Northport, Publix, Piggly Wiggly, and in the southern part of our listing area, Rouse's Supermarket. BlueSpringLivingWater.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center in the heart of your rush to home, and it is a thickums. If you're traveling on Lurleen Wallace, you can expect heavy delays between McFarland and 15th Street. And you're also riding those brakes on McFarland Boulevard. Both directions there are heavy between University and Lurleen Wallace. And we've also got some delays on 3.
It's the year-end clearance sale at Townsend Nissan going on now. You can save thousands. See BJ or Kylan today at Townsend Nissan, your savings place.
El Grant is the great Mexican place in Winn-Dixie Shopping Center. Go over and see my friends Carlos, 205-391-4555, 62 McFarland Boulevard, Monday through Thursday, 11 until 9:30. Friday and Saturday, 11 until 10:30. Sunday, also open 11 until 9. You'll find the great daily lunch specials. You'll find great entrees.
For talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Where college football season never ends. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9.